There you go. You don't have to look at yourself. I hate looking at myself.
Good. Thank you all for being here. I can't tell if this is on or not, so hopefully you can hear me. We're excited to see so many people. I know this is a very busy time of year, but we're so glad that you took the time out of your busy week and busy day to join us here. I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone who ran for office yesterday, and congratulations to those who were elected, and especially to our Rotarians who were elected to office. And so with that, I'd like to ask our newly elected mayor, Jim Arrington, to provide the invocation.
Let's pray. Lord, we come to you this morning, this moment. God, we thank you for all the blessings of life that you give us. God, we thank you for each person that's represented here in this room as Rotarians. We thank you for what we stand for. God, we thank you for the work that we do. God, but just pray that you bless this organization. Lord, I pray that you would just add numbers to us, God, that the work that we do would be the work that you would have us to do. God, thank you for the food that we eat. We thank you for blessing it. Lord, I know you're going to nourish our bodies with it, and we're going to serve you with our bodies. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. Please join me in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
You all. And Darren is going to introduce our visitors and guests today. Darren?
Okay, it's my pleasure to introduce our guests. Please stand when I call your name and remain standing until all have been introduced. First is Dr. Jennifer Pike, who's guest Gerald Wyatt. Sorry, Dr. Gerald Wyatt. And then Derek Chapman, guest of Sandy Lee. And Shirley Wynn, guest of Rex Campbell. There's multiple times being here. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. We certainly hope that you'll plan to join us again as a guest or maybe as a member. Let's see, we've got a couple of announcements. Birthdays, Tyler Baker's birthday is May 26th. No club member anniversaries. We do have wedding anniversaries. Raylene Carter will be celebrating 26 years. Congratulations. Okay, a couple more. We still are filling our schedule for next year with programs. If you have an idea, please let Steve know. He's working on getting everyone slated. So happy to be doing that. And then don't forget our annual meeting, our annual banquet is June 13th. So we will not have a meeting on June 12th, but we hope to see all of you plus your guests at Oak Fusky. We'll be there at 6:30 that evening. So it'll be lots of fun and we're looking forward to celebrating together. Okay, we have some time for happy hours. Who's happy today?
Okay, so I am happy because of this beautiful scarf, and I wanted to share a little bit about its history. I had the opportunity to attend the 6900 District Conference in Jekyll Island, I guess it was April. And during the award ceremonies, with which there were multiple, Susan was recognized several times. But when she came back to the table, she actually had, I noticed she had something just beautiful and blue. It was folded, and it was a scarf like this. And did you get that? That's beautiful. I just loved it. Well, the First Lady of Rotary Esther Ratson. She is wife to previous Rotary International President Barry Ratson. He's current director, trustee. He's a trustee for Rotary International. It's been in Rotary International a very long time. They make a lot of change in the world, I'll tell you. But at one point, she was approached by Rotary International to create and design a scarf. And I think she had 1 day or 2 days, and she said, I had no idea what I was going to do. So they are from the Bahamas. So this scarf represents the beauty of the Bahamas. The sky, the sea, the sand, and the sun. And again, she had given one to Shirley Susan for all she has done with Rotary and serving. Just, we all know Susan does amazing things. So I thought, well, I'll see if maybe they're selling some. So I went, I was in a meeting with Esther, and I'll be quick. Anyway, you really couldn't buy them. You make a donation. And so I ended up to me by Esther and by also Fran Milberg from Thomasville. So I know.
In case anyone want to forget one. Pray for those victims that happened in Troup County on Thursday. One was Catholic and she died, Mary Joy Mosman, and they were members in West Point down in the Catholic Church of Holy Family of Lynette, but the Catholic Church of St. Peter's is we. And I will preside at the funeral tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So please pray for all the victims this sad day. Life is very fragile. And also, I met for the last time 2 Rotarians of ours. I don't think they're here today. I don't see them, but Heather Winter and Trey Long, they're going to be married in the Catholic Church and with the joint with her sisters, the minister, Methodist ministers. So she and I will be doing their wedding on the 31st on Friday and week today. Pray for them as well as teaching.
I could borrow $1 to be happy, but I've been married 26 years. So what does that tell you? And I realize for a lot of you, 26 years does not sound like a long time. But I was almost like a month and a half before my 42nd birthday before I ever got married. So 26 years is a long time because I met him at the playground in the first grade. It just took us a while.
That'll cover my next 19. Same thing. There are pledge cards on the table for running for Rotary in September, on September 21st. We got 3 Rotarians that have stepped up to the plate to help sponsor local schools and their teams. 10 runners from each team. The other is the blood drive next Wednesday. So leave Rotary and head to Coleman. Stop, get blood, stay alive. You can register on the QR code up here.
I wanted to make an announcement. The Salvation Army has 3 openings right now for children. We're looking for 3 girls to go to Camp Grandview. The dates are the 17th through the 22nd. And, if you know of anybody who would be interested, a girl 7 to 12, it's all expenses paid. They don't even need any money for the canteen or anything like that. We're trying to find folks to be able to do that. We've been reaching out to the city, and we've also tried to reach out to try to see if we can get anybody involved because we have these 3 openings and we don't want them to go to waste. So please, if you know of anybody that would be interested, please reach out. I'd be happy to do that.
Hi, my name is Derek Jackman. First time here to have $1, but I would like to pledge to take pictures for the annual June 13th chapters meeting.
We'll take it. Thank you all. And at this time, I'd like to ask Jill Scott to come and introduce our program. Bill?
It is my pleasure to introduce today's program. Mike Raymer with the Georgia Council on Economic Education is with us. And he is the successor to David Martin, who was here on a number of occasions. David was the chairman for years, and I was introduced to him early on by Charles Hudson, one of our former members and mentors, and supported the economic education efforts through the Callaway Foundation. Mike joined the education group as a teacher. And if you look at his resume, he's a teacher at heart, even though now as executive director, he has more to do with fundraising and board leadership.
There you go. Thank you. Appreciate it. So, thank you for having me, and happy 100th anniversary of the Rotary Club. This is pretty amazing. John, I want to let you know that I gave blood days ago. You mentioned the just my arm still hurts a little bit. So I am Mike Raymer of the Georgia Council on Economic Education, and as you just heard, I'm a former classroom teacher. I taught for 9 years at Stars Mill High School in Fayette County. And when I first started teaching, I was the new guy, and usually in social studies, the new guy or the new woman gets economics. It's the course that nobody wants to teach because most people that teach social studies are history folks, and they want to teach history. So I got hired at this brand new high school to teach econ because when I student taught, that's what I student taught. So when I walked in, my principal said during the interview, "What can you teach?" I said, "Well, I've been student teaching econ." The next question is, "What can you coach?" I can coach whatever you need, sir. You're hired. So I got hired to teach at Stars Mill, and I was the only social studies teacher in the building teaching econ. And on day one of planning, my department chair came to me and said, "By the way, we don't have any textbooks." This is the brand new high school, first year seniors. "We don't have any textbooks, and they're not going to come for a month." And I was like a deer in the headlights, like, okay, I had no idea what I was going to do. And she came to me later in the day and said, here's a card, you might want to call this group. And it was the Georgia Council on Economic Education. So I called, and a guy answered the phone, and he said, how can I help you? And I explained what I just said to you. And he just said, "Oh, you need our help." I said, "I do." So a few weeks later, I went to a Georgia Council workshop, and it absolutely changed my life. I went from staying one day ahead of my students, barely surviving in the classroom, to having a tremendous amount of resources and contacts with other teachers that made me a better teacher. And all the things that you said I won because of the Georgia Council on Economic Education. I started going to their workshops religiously. Whenever they had one, I would go, as long as my principal let me out of the building. And within a couple of years, I was pretty confident that I was doing a good job teaching economics and personal finance to my students. So in a nutshell, that's what we do. We help teachers teach econ and personal finance. If you have a child of your own who's either in school or has been through school, a public school, you know that those courses are required, right? So starting in kindergarten, students in Georgia at a public school are required to take personal finance and economics. It's usually embedded within social studies, all the way through middle school, and then in high school, there's a required course that every student has to pass to graduate. It's called personal finance and economics. So I'm going to share a little bit about kind of how we do all this and ultimately how teachers and students benefit from our work. So our vision and mission are there. In a nutshell, we help K-12 teachers teach economics and personal finance in the public and private schools of Georgia. Wherever there's a demand for our services, we go and we deliver our services. And our vision, I think, aligns very closely with some of your goals of the Rotary Club. We want students leaving school prepared for their economic roles as, you can see, they're productive workers, informed consumers and savers, involved citizens, and lifelong decision makers in a globally interdependent world. And when I think of Troup County and LaGrange, this is a globally interdependent world we're living in. And I'll talk in a little bit about some of the businesses we visited over the years in Troup County and how they're connected globally. We provide these things to teachers: grade and content-specific professional development. So we put on day-long workshops or hour-long webinars where teachers come in by grade level, and we spend the day working with them, giving them lesson plans, working through the lesson plans, and then talking about how they're going to impact students in the classroom. We give classroom resources. We do a lot of experiential learning activities. When I arrived here, I was a little bit early, and my coworker Chris back at the office called me. We have a 3-day agricultural bus tour we're putting on this summer through around the Albany area up into Tifton, We're going to take teachers around, visit different like farms and agricultural facilities to talk about the impact they have on the state of Georgia. So we try to do those things as much as possible, like take teachers on field trips and sometimes students on field trips, so they can go back into the classroom and share what they see in their communities with their students. And we also have several engaging student competitions. 2 days ago, we had a team from Dunwoody High School in DeKalb County travel to Cleveland, Ohio for the national finals in the Personal Finance Challenge. Happy to report they came in 4th place nationally. We're very proud of that. We do all of this at no financial charge to teachers. So I'm a former teacher. My wife is a teacher. Teachers don't sometimes have a lot of money to spend on training and stuff, so we cover everything. We pay for your lunch, we give you the materials, we pay for your substitute teacher. So if you come to a workshop tomorrow, there's a substitute teacher in the building covering your class, we pay for that. That is a huge barrier. If teachers can't get out of the building because of that, they can't come to our services, so we cover that. So there really is no reason why teachers shouldn't come. We make it as easy as possible and as smooth as possible, and most importantly, as impactful as possible for teachers. All right, you can see here, last year, we have a staff of 4 in my office, by the way. We are a statewide organization. We don't just serve Metro Atlanta. We are the Georgia Council on Economic Education. We served teachers and students from 143 of the 181 public school systems in Georgia last year. I am so incredibly proud of this because, as you can see on the right, the last thing, my staff drove more than 14,000 miles to do that, which is staggering when I think about it. We served more than 3,700 teachers. We delivered 177 workshops, and we had more than 25,000 students participate in one of our student competitions. So last year was a great year. When I look at the map, the blue is great, but I only see the gray. I'm almost like we have to try to get to those systems where we didn't serve teachers or students last year. So this year we are already actively serving several of the counties in gray that we didn't get to last year, specifically to get our services to teachers who need our help. I mentioned the student competitions. Personal Finance Challenge is a competition for high school students where they basically get a scenario where a hypothetical family is making all kinds of bad financial decisions, and groups of students come together and they sort of put a plan together to help the family make better financial decisions. Ultimately, we have a state winner, and like I said, the state winner goes on to the national finals. The Econ Challenge is for really incredibly bright high school students taking either the AP course in micro or macroeconomics or the regular ed course. And it's basically a quiz bowl for really, really, really smart kids. One of those competitions when you're sitting there as an adult and you're saying to yourself, how do they know all these answers? These kids are really, really super smart. We have something called the Econ Games for 4th and 5th grade students, which is a combination of Shark Tank, testing, and assembly line production. And if you ever want to feel good in the world, come to this thing with us. And by the end of the day, you're going to say, there's hope for the future. Because these kids come together, we give them some kind of problem to solve, and they have to work together to create a product that will solve that problem. Sometimes the plans are great and effective, other times they're less so. I will give you an example. We did a competition like 7 years ago down in South Georgia, and that year there was a huge blueberry crop freeze where like all the blueberries died because they froze. So our plan was, all right, let's come up with a plan to kind of solve this. Like, how can we stop blueberry bushes from freezing? So the kids come and present to a group of adults, and they're 4th and 5th graders, and you're sitting in with them, and they're very serious and they have these great plans. So, the first 4 or 5 groups went, they're great plans. And a group walked in, and the kids said, yeah, we got a plan. We're going to spray them all with antifreeze. So, okay. That group didn't win. But again, the kids are thinking about like the economy and sort of how they can make things better. And lastly, we have our stock market game, which is we run it twice a year. It's a 10-week program where students are given a hypothetical $100,000 to invest in real markets in real time. And at the end of the 10 weeks, the students that have built the biggest portfolio win. Last week at the Fox Theater in Atlanta, we recognized 230 student teams from around the state. And it was fascinating to see kids from all over the state come together at the Fox Theater. Many in Atlanta for the first time, very excited. It's a very nice way to sort of honor the kids and the great work they're doing. We have a serious Troup County connection. You mentioned my former boss, David Martin, has been to Troup County several times to speak to this group. You probably can't see the fine print here, but This is from the files in my office, and my organization started in 1972. This letter is from the Callaway Foundation in 1972, saying they were going to support us financially. This was a 2-year, $10,000 a year give that they gave to us in 1972. So if this isn't the first donation we got, it's the second, because I think there's a bank that gave us the money early on. So we've been supported by Troup County organizations since 1972, which I think is absolutely phenomenal. So that's where the connection started. For me, the connection started, I think it was 2010. I came down and I visited with Spear Burdett at the Callaway Foundation. And we spoke for like 45 minutes in his office, and he kind of explained the lay of the land, what's going on in Troup County and how they support us. And then he said, do you want to go for a little tour of the city? And I was like, I'd love to. So we hopped in his truck and we spent the afternoon visiting, I think, every business in Troup County. I mean, we went everywhere. He knew everybody. And it was like, this is amazing, right? And it opened a lot of doors for what we do now. I want to go back to my teaching career at Stars Mile High School. Most of the students I taught were sort of expected to go to college, which is great. But there's always students in class who aren't going to go to college, and there's not always a good fit for them. So I had a kid in my class who sat right there. I remember like where you are. His name was Evan. And he said to me in private, Mr. Raymer, I'm not cut out for college, but I don't know what I can do. What can I do? What kind of job can I get? And I didn't have an answer for him. I was like, I kind of hemmed and hawed and I didn't have a good answer, and it bothered me, right? It bothered me for years. And when I came to the Georgia Council, I started thinking about Evan and what can we have Evan do and where can he work? I got put in touch with someone at Kia. Is anyone here from Kia? I got put in touch with someone from Kia, and I said, can we bring teachers to Kia and visit the Kia factory? And they're like, yeah, we'd love to have you. So we brought a group of teachers to Kia, and we were walking around the Kia plant, and I said, I'd work here. Like, if you've ever been there, it's super clean, super safe. It's like, this is really nice and just mind blowing what they're doing here. They pay, I think at the time it was like $25 an hour to start. And, you need these kind of certificates to do it. You didn't necessarily need a college degree. So that really triggered a huge kind of sea change in what we do at the Georgia Council. Since then, we're really proactive in bringing teachers to places like Kia, places like Saywan, places like Duracell, Wildleaf. We've been to all these places with teachers here in Troup County. So they go back to their classroom and they can tell their students, these things are being produced in your community. It's having this impact on the economy, and you could work there. Like, these are the requirements they need at all these places. And that, to me, has been a huge game changer. As much as we can bring the real world into a classroom for teachers, that is a win. Any of you here teachers or former teachers? Yeah, what did you teach there?
Band.
Okay. Do you ever hand up on that?
High school science.
High school science. When kids came to your class every day, were they thrilled to be in your class every day?
Absolutely.
That's good. Okay. How about the person down the hall who wasn't an amazing teacher? Were kids thrilled to go to that class every day? Not always. So it's hard. So in this day and age, when you're teaching and you're competing against this, like, I'm not as cool as a cell phone, right? I'm pretty cool, but not like this. So you have to come up with ways to sort of engage kids and engage your students. And talking about local jobs and local businesses is one way to do it, right? So thank you for all the folks who put us in touch with Troup County businesses that we could sort of share with teachers what's happening here in Troup County. So I already asked about our other teachers here. This is a hypothetical, right? So when we deliver professional development to our teachers that we work with, we don't just sit in a room and lecture like this, right? We buy into something that's called active learning. If you go into a classroom and you have to teach about inflation, right, which is in the standards in high school, how do you make inflation exciting? I mean, it's a current event, it's happening, it's there. All right, I always say as an econ teacher, the worse the economy is, the better it is in the classroom, because you can point to all these things that are happening all the time. So I'm going to do a little simulation with this. So we do a lot of simulations, a lot of, students are moving around, they're up out of their seats, they're doing things. They're the ones doing it, not the teacher just talking about it. So I'm going to pass out some envelopes here randomly. So I'm going to talk about how we actually help and what we give teachers when we work with them, how this all works. So scenario one, where are you? if you could take out the thing in your envelope and in a nice, loud teacher voice, go ahead and read what your letter says there.
I'm the first grade teacher. I want to teach my students this thing.
Okay, so in first grade, teachers have to teach that. That's in the standards, right? So if you don't know, there's a set of standards created by the state of Georgia that as a teacher, you're supposed to follow and supposed to teach. Some courses have tests attached to them, like statewide tests, some don't. But you're supposed to teach that, right? You're a first-year teacher. Do you have any lessons in your bag of tricks to teach that lesson? No. That was me. Again, my first month of teaching was like, I don't know what to do. So what we do is we create resources and we give out resources. And for that particular standard, we have this book called Sloth and Squirrel in a Pickle. If you want to see a happy person, go up to an elementary teacher, give them a literature book and say, that is yours to keep. The smile on their face is like, it's like, seriously, I'm not thinking of it. Teachers love getting books like that. So not only do we give them a book, if I give you a book, it's like, well, I'm going to give you a book. We have lesson plans go along with the book. So in my office, one of my staff members wrote this lesson called Teaching About the New that goes with that book. After the workshop, we actually would get together and do this lesson together, walk through it like the teachers in the room, the students. So when they get back into their classroom the next day, what can they can do the lesson? And it's in a Dropbox, so when they leave, they have everything. Everything they need is in here. Right? So take that home. You know what? You know, teaching them like pivot to when they're going to be seriously. Elementary teacher. Came here today, you probably didn't think you're going to get a book, right? Here we are. All right. So that's scenario one. Scenario two, where are we? What do you got?
I'm a fourth grade teacher, and I want to teach my students the standard SS4E1, use the basic economic concept, trade, opportunity cost, specialization, voluntary exchange, productivity, and price incentives to illustrate historical events.
Okay, what grade are you again?
Fourth grade.
Fourth grade. And you're like, wait, what? Teaching productivity and specialization? The fourth graders? I can't learn that, right? I can. One of the beauties of teaching econ and personal ed, it's everywhere. Econ is all around. You do it right now. Have you made any decisions today? Anyway, there's a made a decision. I've made 50 million of them today in one o'clock. So with that in mind, guess what I have for you? I've got a book, right? A children's literature book. In elementary grade, we're really focused on literature because in elementary school, teachers are teaching literature every day. They're teaching math every day. Science, not every day, but a few days. Social studies, we'll get to it on a Friday at 2, maybe 3. And I wish I was joking, but social studies is going to kind of push aside. But reading is all about reading. So we, like 6 years ago, said, all right, to get the elementary teachers and help them, we're going to create materials that incorporate econ, personal finance, with reading at the same time. So if you're a teacher, you're kind of doing 2 things at once. Who wrote this book? Is the name of the author?
Written by Mal Raymond.
Mike, right? So, yeah.
Mike.
So back during practice, I was in my office by myself, like just like everyone else. Crazy. And every year we get out these books like at SAU, we spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars buying books. And I said, why don't we just write our own book? And I said that out loud to my coworker, and she's very nice time. She says, well, now you got to do it. And I was like, I don't know. So I wrote a book. That's not it. I wrote one book, and then I wrote a second book, and then I wrote a third one, and the fourth one. That's tomorrow. This specific book, it's about my 2 cats who are real. They visited dairy farm. Like, why on earth would they visit a dairy farm? What am I trying to teach you?
Basic economic concept, trade.
Like trade, okay.
Opportunity cost.
Okay.
Specialization.
Yep.
Voluntary exchange.
Yep.
Productivity.
Yep.
Price incentive.
Yep.
And to illustrate historical events.
Okay. Maybe not so much historical events, but you grew up in upstate New York, and this family here's a real family. They're called the Easterbolts. My college roommate grew up in a dairy farm, and I visited there a bunch of times. And I went there, and at the time I was teaching econ, so all I could think about was economics when I was on the dairy farm. Everything on the dairy farm teaches those standards that you want. Specialization, dairy farms, productivity. My friend, I think Marty, his dad owned a farm and used to milk by hand. Marty's little brother, David, took over the farm and he bought 2 machines. Guess what the machines do? They milk the cows. The cows don't want to get up and walk into the machine. They basically turn it on and stand back and do this. So the productivity went from here to here because of those machines. It's all. So if you're teaching those standards, they're like, these are going to be really hard. Good. Talk about it very hard. Scenario 3, where are we? What do you got?
I'm a 6th grade teacher, and I want to teach my students this standard, S96B8, analyze the benefits of and barriers to voluntary trade in Europe.
Okay, and it's 6th grade, right?
6th grade.
Talking about trade and barriers to trade. You like chocolate cookies?
I think.
You do. Everybody does, right? They're awesome. So we've got a lesson. We've got a lesson specifically to teach what you just said you needed. And it's about making chocolate chip cookies. So I've got a bag of stuff. I'm not going to pass it out because of time, but in it I've got eggs, I've got chocolate, I've got little things that represent vanilla, butter, sugar. Basically, we go around the room with 6 different groups and we give them just a handful of those things. Here's some stuff, here's some stuff, here's some stuff. And we say, all right, go ahead at the table and you can make some chocolate chip cookies. They can't, right? Because they don't have enough stuff. Like maybe you guys have 4 eggs and you're having eggs. And you've got too much butter, you're going to have butter. So what does it force the group to do? Gotta get up and trade. So run and trade. Because you know what you need to make the stuff, one of the things. So you walk around the room and you're forced to trade, right? In round 2, we kind of change things where it's like, hey, what if you guys just make butter? Right? Because some of college walking around, what if you guys just produce eggs? So the groups specialize and make one thing. Round 2, get up and trade, what happens? What do they start making? Chocolate chip cookies. In the first round, you couldn't because they don't have the resources. When they trade, they have to specialize so they can make trades. Right? Think about Cook County. If you're going to produce everything yourself in Cook County, or do we go outside of Cook County? Of course, we're all against this. We're all independent. So it gets kids thinking about sort of trade and how everyone wins when there's trade. Scenario 4, where are we? What do you got, sir?
I'm an 8th grade teacher, and I want to teach my students this standard, SSAE1. Explain how the 4 transportation systems, road, air, water, and rail, of Georgia contribute to development and growth of the state economy.
Yes. One of my favorite standards, seriously. I love that standard. It's amazing. Can you think of anything nearby that would help keep that standard? Why is Kia here and not in Reagan? You ever know what Reagan County is? Extreme north, east. How about Seminole County, extreme southwest? Why isn't Kia in Seminole County or Reagan County? It's here. What? Right there. I mean, it's right there. Awesome. Right. What? Training. Great. How does Kia care about training? It ain't hard. What is it? To get all this stuff to make the car, and then they ship. Typically, cars out on the train and people that drop there. Why do they care that they're kind of close to Hartsfield Jackson? That's important. I'm the CEO of Kia, I'm flying from Seoul. I don't want to have to drive through Reagan County. It's like a spot, right? So all these different infrastructure things that we need are right here, which is pretty awesome, right? And then there's incentives, you can talk about this stuff as well. But this lesson, I didn't love this lesson. It's such a cool thing to do. And ultimately, you're having kids put all the dots together and they say, gee, good roads, good rail, good airports. And the Port of Savannah is very important too, right? This is another connection we make there, right? All right. Last one, scenario 5, where are we? Yep.
High school personal finance and economics teach. And I want to teach my students this standard. Analyze how insurance and other risk management strategies protect against financial.
Gotcha, right? We have some lesson plans that are here that we've written specifically to teach that. And we've also created this resource called Start It Up. It's on the Georgia Public Broadcasting website. We've done 2 different programs with them. This sort of simulates a business and being an entrepreneur. And part of it is when you start a business, are you going to have to get insurance? Yes. How do you do that? I don't know. It gets into it. Right? You know, teaching again, a lot of kids, they want to start their own business and you start talking about, you need licenses and permits and insurance. Well, after, right? So through this, we're helping you as a teacher. You've got this, you don't have to write it yourself. It's right here, right? You've got all the materials you need. You've done it in the workshop with this, you've walked through it. So you can kind of see where the pitfalls might come up, what might trip you up. And then when you leave at the end of the day, all of you teachers, you leave our workshop after getting the resources at no financial charge, having lunch with us, meeting new teachers, the same thing you do. You go back with your little Dropbox and you've got access to this. And tomorrow in your classroom, you're ready. Right? And you've got these resources and you're going to be a better teacher. Here are the things I mentioned we did with Georgia Public Broadcasting. Started up, we have something called Econ Express for high school teachers. Lights, camera, budget. Do they make any movies around here ever? How come? Anyone? What? Credit tax credit. It does, right? There's this huge tax credit incentive where it makes sense to come to Georgia. When I first moved here in '96, they weren't making a lot of movies here. My office at Georgia State now, almost every day I see movies, almost every day being shot around my office because of tax incentives, economics, right? So Lights, Camera, Budget simulates sort of financial literacy things, and ultimately students have to make a movie based on how much income they earn through this game, answering questions about personal finance. Lastly, we have a podcast out like everyone else in the world does called Teach and Tell. If you want to know what teachers are thinking, the first 38 episodes are out. We interview a teacher each week, and they just kind of talk about what it's like in the classroom, what they like about it, what their challenges are, that sort of thing, giving voice to teachers. So, well, I'm talking about with time. So again, I want to say happy 100th anniversary. Seriously, this is a great thing that you all come together every Wednesday to work to serve your community. I will take questions if you have any. I want to say thank you. Our website is gce.org if you're curious to know more about what we do. So I'm funny, my gray hair and my wrinkles, I didn't look like this. So I raise money, we get money from foundations, we get money from corporations, individuals, and we take that money and we spend it on teachers. That's it in a nutshell. Our budget's about $1 million a year. We don't get anywhere from the state of Georgia. We do get Library of Congress money. We recently got a grant from the Library of Congress, so that's one of the government money we get. So we bring the money in, and my co-workers love to say, you raise the money and we spend the money. That's the way. Yes. How do you measure success? Several ways. We measure success. We had a professor that we work with. He does research, and that's his whole thing. His research has shown that teachers that come to our workshops, their students score statistically significantly higher on standardized tests and economics and personal finance than students of teachers who did. That's one way. The other way is through surveys, and everyone in my staff is a former classroom teacher, and all came through the Georgia Council. So when teachers tell us, you know, you saved my life, this is the greatest stuff I've ever done, that's another way we measure by talking to teachers. Those are working out. We bring them in and regularly to get feedback from them, saying, hey, what do you need? Because we're not in the classroom anymore, so things change in the classroom, so we're always having time to adapt. So, you know, qualitatively and quantitatively, measure things like such. I think we're very successful. We're pretty fortunate to work with teachers. Yes, sir.
The student who won the stock market, how did he do it?
How did he do it? Or
How much money did he make?
this is a kid named Jimmy Flack. He is a student, he's a junior in high school in Woodville Tompkins High School down in Savannah. He's won it 3 times in a row, which is unheard of. So he won it last spring, last fall, and again this spring. He finished this time at $214,000. I've had board members say, we gotta talk to this kid because he's like really consistently good. So one of my board members who's a big investor at BNY New York, he wasn't better. It's like, Jimmy, we gotta get you in college, man. You're doing something right. Yeah, he's good. I don't know if exact strategies you don't really try and ask, but he's doing well. And yeah. So thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mike. That was a fun, informative, interactive presentation, and we really enjoyed it. We learned a lot, so thank you. In honor of your speaking today, we're going to be making a donation to Polio Plus, which is Rotary's initiative to eliminate polio worldwide. So thank you again for being here. Just a few quick announcements before we dismiss. Let's see. Program announcements. Next week, we have Colonel Michael Penn, Tripp's brother, who will be bringing our program. His experiences in the Special Forces will be something we hope he's going to be talking about. And then following him, we'll have Patrick Bowie giving us a state of the city. June 12th, we will not meet. We'll have our annual banquet will be the next day, the 13th at Ofusky. So with that, we are dismissed. Thank you all for being here.
Oh, I'm